Thank you, Waziri. Honorable members of Parliament, members of the ministry, and all the visitors who have come here. Hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. Yeah, I'm very delighted to have an opportunity to come and talk to you here at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University. The minister wrote to me, inviting me to come. And my office told me the letters come here from the minister, inviting you to a conference on nuclear energy in Bondo. I said to confirm immediately that I will come. This is because of the passion with which I actually confront this subject here. And this is because of experiences that I've had before. When I was the Prime Minister, I went to visit France. And then I met with the Minister for, they called it Energy and High Seas in Paris, Monsieur Ballot. And during the course of conversations, he told me, you know, Mr. Odinga, Africa is a dark continent. Dark continent? I said, yes, it's a dark continent. You know, I thought we had already left this idea of Africa being dark. He said, no, I will show you that Africa is a dark continent. So then he went and brought something like an atlas, a book, and he opened it. And he showed me, this is the satellite map of Europe, from how Europe looked at night from the satellite. And you could see the European city, all lit all over, right from the English Channel through France all the way to Russia. Then he went and opened another page, Africa. This is how what Africa looks like at night from the satellite. Now there's a big contrast. There were some little lights down southern Africa. And then up here around Egypt, somewhere there you could see some lights. The rest of the continent was just dark. He said, this is what's happening. Africa is the dark at night. It means that while Europe is busy working at night, Africa is asleep, working in the other direction. No wonder the population is so big in Africa. So I said that this is a challenge, and there is really no response to this other than to ensure that Africa is lit, that Africa can also be working at night the way Europe is working. That's one of the reasons. But I will talk about my other experience later. I have some notes here that I want to refer to. And I'm pleased to join you today for a discussion on a subject that is extremely critical to the future progress of our country. There can be no doubt that diversifying our energy sources and maintaining a clean environment are critical to our development agenda as a nation. Part of the reason this country has not been able to generate and sustain well-paying jobs is the cost of energy. A number of nations, including here in Africa, have reached the decision that the use of nuclear energy to generate electricity is one of the cornerstones of sustainable development. Remember, there had been kind of resentment of opposition after the Chernobyl accident, but that has actually changed right now. In the age of climate change, nuclear is accepted as one of the clean energy sources that is free of carbon emissions. In fact, the UN has identified nuclear energy and nuclear technology as key to addressing the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. The Kenya Nuclear Power Program that this forum has convened to discuss is therefore in tune with the developments around us. Developing new, clean and low-carbon energy sources has become a priority for governments across Africa and the world over, and Kenya cannot afford to be left behind. I have had the privilege of serving this country as a Minister for Energy, and I can state without any fear of contradiction that we need to urgently develop additional complementary sources of electricity to meet the future demand projections and to provide a reliable, affordable, and clean energy to actualize the country's development agenda. Back in 2008, the National Social and Economic Council, which I co-chaired with President Kibaki, agreed that as a country, we have to begin investing in technologies that can provide consistent, clean, and sustainable energy to drive our factories, light our homes, and power our innovations. The National Nuclear Power Program was conceived then as an absolute necessity for our nation's industrial takeoff. It is my understanding that since then, and in line with international best practices, Kenya has been following the International Atomic Energy Agency's guideline on the implementation of the nuclear power program. We commend the IAEA for supporting our quest for a peaceful application of nuclear science and technology as part of our Vision 2030 plans. In its pursuit of nuclear energy goals, I wish to encourage the government to pursue partnerships with the nuclear advanced countries and ensure that our program meets the highest standards of safety, security, and non-proliferation. Such collaborations are vital for capacity building and ensuring that our program benefits from global expertise and oversight. Our program must pay maximum attention to the safety and security of our people, property, and our environment. The program has to adhere to the global standards in every aspect, from construction to decommissioning. It meets international requirements and best practices. Site selection for a nuclear power plant is critical. The identification of Lake Victoria region as a candidate host for the nuclear power plant is a recognition of its unique strategic advantages. It is important that there is a genuine and detailed engagement with the people, and this is one of them, the leaders and all stakeholders, and have all concerns raised and addressed. And I've seen some of them begin to raise some of the concerns. I therefore urge you all, especially our local leaders and community members, to engage actively in this dialogue. Ask the tough questions, demand clarity by ensuring any concerns you have are addressed, and work with the government and the experts. Let me reiterate that if successfully executed, nuclear power will be a game changer in the socio-economic development of our countries and our counties and the country at large. It represents a monumental step towards energy security, industrialization, and sustainable growth. I just want to tell you people, when I was Minister for Energy, and I suggested that we should go nuclear, I did not expect the kind of reaction. I received a very negative reaction from people who were themselves ignorant. Oh, Raila is talking about bringing nuclear energy here. You want to bring nuclear bombs. You don't want bombs here. We are a peaceful country. I say there's what is called peaceful use of nuclear energy. And this is accepted worldwide. Most countries actually are nuclear. France, for example, has 80% of France nuclear energy is nuclear. And many other countries, there was times when there were accidents. Because there was an accident in Japan, remember during how do you call it? And then there was Chernobyl in Russia. But those were the only cases of accidents. And accidents are accidents. Anything can happen. We've seen planes crashing with hundreds of people. So this is an accident like any other accident. But nuclear energy is a separate source of energy. As an engineering student, in 1967, we were taken to a nuclear plant in Germany. And we toured the nuclear plant, and we were taught about everything about nuclear. So that's why I don't fear nuclear, because I've been right into the nuclear reactor itself. And I know that it is safe. The safety measures taken are very high, with high standards. And, but I've also said at that time, I remember one time when I was launching my campaign, I talked of 3 things that will help us to catapult this country to where it should be. I said, number 1, infrastructure. Number 2, infrastructure. Number 3, now energy is one of infrastructures. Infrastructure is not just roads. Infrastructure is many things. Energy is a very important infrastructure. And you look at the development of a country on the basis of how much electricity is being consumed per capita. And ours is very low in this country, indeed. And what are the other sources that we have? There's geothermal, there's hydro, there is solar, there is wind, and that is all. And all of them have got limitations. Solar is coming up, but it's not yet reached where it should reach. And there are times when you don't have enough solar. You need to invest in storage. The wind is periodical, but then thermal is actually polluting and causing the emission of carbons into the environment, which is contributing to global warming. So we have the only option is nuclear. And right now, for example, our total generation capacity is just about 3,400 megawatts. That is peanuts. When I was a student studying in Germany's city of Magdeburg, which was a heavy industry city, the consumption of power in the city of Magdeburg was higher than the whole of East African countries together, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. Just one city alone in Europe, you see. So energy is so important. What we are actually generating here is peanuts. But we could have gone much further, faster. Look at a country like Vietnam. Those of you who are alive before 1975 heard of what happened in Vietnam. We were born when the war in Vietnam was going on. And it went on until 1975. Each day there were reports of bombs thrown in Vietnam. Bombs, people thought all the Vietnamese would have been dead. But then the war ended in 1975. Kenya was independent. Vietnam went straight on to reconstruct their country and develop their country. Today, Vietnam has overtaken Kenya. The population of Vietnam now is nearly 90 million people. But they generate 70,000 megawatts of power in Vietnam, as we are 3,400. And look at Korea, the same thing. Korea and Kenya are mentioned to the government officers last week. And Ghana were at par in terms of development, industrialization, literacy levels, per capita income, levels of poverty, and so on. But now, 62 years down the road, Vietnam's economy, Korea's economy is more than 40% bigger than that of Kenya. Korea has moved from a third world to a first world. So we are behind. We need to leapfrog. We need to move faster. So it's not just a question of a nuclear plant here. And they've been telling me, they think about 1,000 megawatts, 2,000 megawatts. I'm saying let's just start with 5,000 megawatts. And then also, if you start with 5,000, ensure that there's proper safety. But I've also said they're talking of starting in 1934. There's no reason why we should start in 1934. If we have made a decision now, we begin to order straight away, because it takes time to manufacture. And this manufacturing will be going on, it should take 2 years, maximum 3 years. It will be ready. I've visited a plant in China, in Korea, where they are manufacturing nuclear plants. And you can see you have got an order here from this country, you've got an order from Malaysia, you've got an order from India, you've got an order for this. They're all busy manufacturing. Let there be also an order for Kenya there, so that you can start and aim at Vision 2030. Vision 2030, let us have a plant working. That should be our aim as a country. And I think it can be done. We must say Kenya must be able to chase its peers and reach there. Don't continue to compare Kenya with the worst. That, we are an island of prosperity in a sea of turmoil. Don't compare yourself with the worst. Compare Kenyans with the best, because they are capable of obtaining the best. They say in the land of the blind, one-eyed man is a king. So that's what Kenya says is a king, because all the others are blind. No, don't compare us with failed states. Compare us with the best. We are capable of obtaining the best. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Your Excellency. May we accord His Excellency a standing ovation.